The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Carson-Newman is scheduled to play 4 road games over a 7-day stretch with Mike Mincey. I'm Michael Watching for the Eagles Sports Network. And, Coach, certainly things can change really at the drop of a hat with how things are going, especially last Saturday with LR and Coker. That game got canceled about 2 hours before tip-off. With that in mind, you just played 4 games in 7 days. 2 of them were at home. What did you learn from that stretch as you get ready for this one?
Well, obviously we had success last week, winning some very tough games and going on the road twice. And it was challenging for sure with not really being able to practice. Since we were successful, we felt like we navigated it pretty well in terms of trying to keep people fresh, getting them enough rest and recovery through those games. And a lot of teams are having to go through it. And I've heard a lot of other coaches say, it's a COVID year. It is what it is. These are games that have to be played typically on Monday nights that you don't want to do it. But I can tell you one thing, having yesterday off and not a game tonight was a nice not having that game.
Let's talk about your team. We'll start at the offensive end of the floor. Based on the statistics right now, you have 4 of the 7 most efficient players in the league in terms of field goal percentage. You're right back up to 83 points per game after the triple-digit effort against Wingate. How impressive has it been to see those 4 players in particular, and Lindsey Taylor, Braylon Weichel, Skylar Boshiers, and Addison Bird, shoot with such high efficiency as well as high volume?
Well, I think it's, they're good shooters first and foremost, but then their shot selections are really good, and there's not a lot of forced shots, and that's the one thing I like. We want to play fast, and we like to take quick shots, but you want to make sure that it's in the flow of the offense and it's a good shot. And I think so far this year, and I could say that for a lot of our players, but the ones that you're speaking of, I think that they've just really let the offense come to them and let the game come to them. And when they do that, obviously they can have a lot of success.
Let's talk about the defensive end of the floor, because that's been equally as impressive, because I think 5 of the 7 teams you faced this year have shot less than 40% from the field. A little bit of a different formula for you as well, because you're blocking shots. You're amongst the nation's leader in that category after a program record 13 on Saturday. How has the defense grown here through 7 games this season?
Well, we've played, 7 games. So typically before the second semester, we'd already played 10 or 11 games. So we're just now kind of getting, and we've gotten to play 4 games in a row with some film study and things like that. So we kind of feel like we're coming into our own as to what we can and cannot do. We haven't abandoned the press completely. We've gone to it a time or two when we felt like we needed to. But then there's been some games we didn't go to it at all. So I'm actually kind of impressed with our players that, we're still kind of putting up the same numbers offensively, but we're just a little bit different style. We're not shooting the same number threes that we did or even making that many as we once did, but we're able to get things more closer to the rim, which is something I like, because you have a little bit more confidence as a coach when you're shooting those 15-foot in shots. So, and defensively, I just think we've done a pretty good job in the half court. The scouts that have been put in front of them, they've paid attention, and they've tried to execute it. And I know I try to run stuff against them in practice a lot to where they don't know what's coming, and they figured out a way to get it stopped. So if you stay to your principles and your shell defensive principles, usually you can be successful if you have 5 guys working together.
What's the biggest challenge that these next 4 games present to your team?
Well, they're all on the road, for one. I do think that, and we know this already, but the longer you stay undefeated, the more teams are going to be the one that wants to knock you off, and we realize that going in to these games. But, I think health is one thing, staying obviously in the negative. COVID is a big deal, not allowing that to come into play, that, you could be knocked out of a game based off of that kind of stuff. Still trying to get your rest and recovery. That's something we've been preaching to them a lot. Is to get in the training room and try to get that rest and recovery, because even though we don't play tonight, we know that come Wednesday it's going to be game Wednesday, Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday, and then on Saturday again. And we know we got a lot of games coming up. It's just a matter of staying fresh as best we can. And when going on the road is obviously going to have a challenge. This last week we had 2 games at home, so this is going to be a new challenge for us to actually play that many games in a row on the road.
Coach, thanks for the time. Best of luck this week.
Thank you, Michael.
He's Carson-Newman coach Mike Mincey. I'm Michael Watching for the Eagles Sports Network.